I think it's, it's a comedy of people's manners and how how they lose those manners. And I will say, I mean, it's the thing that really makes it work is that each character is so well drawn, and they're all very, very different. It does sort of underline the fragility of the relationships and how, how fraught we all are with all of the wounds that we drag along with us throughout of our relationships with our children, our relationships with our parents, and those things play out within every piece of dialogue that we have. I mean, it's so beautifully written, this play, and it's dizzying. So it starts out in this kind of polite way, and then very quickly it starts gaining momentum and gaining momentum and gaining momentum until it becomes a real rapid fire. But I think Carnage, shortening it to Carnage, which I think is going to happen on this film, I think it is an interesting idea. It allows you, to discover within the story, what that meant. But I think it gives it this primitive feeling in a much more primitive way. And I think that's really what the movie's about, is about all of these, polite people kind of finding their more primitive side. I don't know if there's any hard and fast moral to the story. I think mostly it really is just about an experience of watching people become their more primitive selves and reveal themselves in a truer way. All these people who are being so phony. At the beginning, when we first started the film, we were shooting in chronological order. I think Roman's directions to everybody was just more phony, more phony, more phony, more phony. Could you be more fake? And I think that, that's really where they start out in the process. They start out saying, I'm so sorry, and, what can we do to help? And, oh, don't worry, it's all fine, this happens. And little by little, it devolves into the real feelings that are behind it. Our ideas about morality are really constructs. And that, in fact, we're all very primitive, and that, we're all monstrous in some ways, and that if we probably took responsibility for that, we'd probably be better off and happier. This is what couples go through every single day of their lives. I mean, this is the undercurrent of what people go through every single day of their lives. I make movies about families. As a director, I make movies about families and couples all the time, and that really is my fascination, my obsession, how this tapestry comes together and how all of these dynamics come together in a positive and negative way. And, that's what intimacy is. If you want to be intimate with somebody, it gets really ugly. They came to me with the role. So Penelope, who was Veronica in the play, it seemed like a very good fit. She's incredibly serious and takes everything way too seriously and is very politically correct. And in the beginning, in a way, you can play that normally in a sort of dramatic way, and then as time goes on, it becomes more and more, more and more of a satire of a regular person. I am an uptight woman who works at a bookstore, but who's writing a book on suffering in Africa, and can't seem to get that out of her mind. And she's almost like a human rights court. She wants to do the same thing and is appalled by these two people that have come into her home that she feels over and over again by everything that they say and that they demonstrate just don't seem to care at the plight of the world and how terrible this circumstance is. John C. Reilly, who plays Michael, his relationship with me is that he's just a good guy, and he listens to me, but he just is trying to make peace, and he kind of thinks that my uptightness is just a little too much, and the way he avoids that is by drinking his favorite scotch. Yeah.